and Geeks Annual
Chakra 2 Hollerween
Stream Along
Spookathon.
Spookathon.
Oh, God. Night of the Demons Dose.
El Segundo, Noche del Demonios.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
De los Demonios. Excuse me. And pretty good.
Yeah, it was not what I expected.
Yeah.
But
no.
so I didn't want to spoil it for you. I don't care about our listeners, but I didn't want to spoil it for
Fuck
you,
you
so I
guys.
said
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Get on the Patreon. Give us money.
I said to you that what made me want to watch this was that I saw a singular GIF, and that's all I knew about
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't want to say more because I was like, I don't want to spoil it, because, and also I assumed me trying to describe it would be, you'd be like, what? And then you'd see it and you'd be like, oh, that's not what I was imagining at all, which is usually what happens. So I instead let you see it for yourself. No, it's the scene where her tits turn into hands. I saw that as a GIF and I was like, wow. I was like, we have to watch this.
I wish I could remember what movie it was. I think it's either Species or like a ripoff.
Uh-huh.
But I confused Species with something else.
Okay.
Also. But this one night I was hanging out with some people and then we decided to get a movie and watch it.
Uh-huh.
And have a sleepover, like,
Yeah.
just whatever. And in this film, this alien life form who has taken human female form at one point, her breasts turn into like snakes, and it's very early CG looking.
Nice. I don't remember. We watched Species together.
Yeah, that's the one with, surprisingly, with Forrest
Yes.
Whitaker in it.
And doesn't it have fucking
I can't remember anybody else.
what's his name? Molina, Alfred Molina too.
Oh yeah, probably.
And I'm like, what? It's always really confusing when Alfred Molina
Turns up anywhere.
but it has a British accent. I'm like, what? Because that's his natural accent.
Is it Brockovich that he's in? Where's he? He plays a lawyer that. No, that's not Brockovich. It's Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I would love any more information than what you're giving.
Yeah,
me.
I
Sorry.
don't. I can't remember enough more of the movie. It's just like he plays someone's old teacher or boss or something. A lady who's the main character, and then she's proven right, and so she gets some kind of comeuppance. It's like a very small part of the plot.
Is it Promising Young Woman? Is that what you're thinking of? Where she goes to see him at his house.
Oh.
And she's like...
Wow, okay.
And he's
Probably.
like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Please forgive me.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I was thinking it was something much older that we watched for this.
It's funny because that scene, when we watched that, like, he's like, I'm so sorry, please forgive me or whatever. And,
Yeah.
and, like everything that we did, like, I know that I did, I don't know. He's just like completely takes accountability and she's like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she leaves. And then I guess she was going to have someone like beat him up. And she's like, don't she's like, never mind. It's like,
Doesn't he kill himself or something?
I don't remember.
Or
But I was like,
does he do a white knight?
I don't know. Anyway, I'm saying more. Okay. So he's like, you know, she says like, don't go beat him up or whatever. And while we were watching it, I was like, this dude is submissive. I'm like, don't not beat him up because he apologized. Not beat him up because he would like it.
Right.
like you'd be giving him what he wanted. Like I'm like, I feel like this was a little bit, I'm like, you're giving him, I was like, no, this is framed wrong. I'm like, you're framing this the wrong way. He didn't do anything good. He's just a fucking masochist. Oh my God. Like, and sometimes shit like that happens in movies where like dudes will be presented in that way of like bumbling, you know, like, and I'm like, yeah, they're just masochists. Like, I don't understand why people are acting like dudes don't sometimes put themselves in situations where they're going to get slapped or they're going to get, you know, told off. I'm like, you understand that that's on purpose sometimes. Like, this isn't. Anyway, whatever. But I don't remember what happened. That's the only thing I remember about his character. And that's it.
That's more than I remembered, obviously. So.
Anyway, Night of the Demons.
Is he also in Persona or whatever that movie is with?
Oh,
Pruitt Taylor
Identity. I think so. Yeah.
Persona is
is non grata
Bergman film.
Oh, okay. I don't think he's in that. He's also in Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's Doc Ock.
Yeah, Doc Ock.
Titular.
Yeah.
Zine Keith's Doc Ock. Shock.
Yeah,
Rocktober.
I forgot. Oh my God. I forgot. I've not
It's
been.
not really titular because
it's not titular, but
him.
it's a cheerler of tits.
Well, speaking of
Yeah.
titillation, this movie has plenty.
Yeah. So what got me, we did an unmentionable like years ago on Night of the Demons because it was I can't remember if we'd already like if it was like, I just remember that it was like spooky movie watching season.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I want to see that. Like, I want to see something like this.
Right.
And I told you about it. I was like a teenager, and it was one of those things where I was like flipping back and forth, you know, from a movie because I couldn't tell if I was actually interested in anything. And this movie had nudity in it, so I was like, I'm going to stay here for a little bit. And I was so blown away. And I was like, I remember, and I think I said to you at the time, I was like, I have no recollection, or I have no idea if this is actually how it happened.
Right.
But she like draws a circle, like a spiral on her tit, and then when she gets to her nipple, she pushes the lipstick, like she draws a spiral on her tit with lipstick, and when she gets to her nipple, she just pushes the lipstick into her tits.
And it disappears.
And it goes away. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was very sure that I was like, there's something that I'm misremembering. Like, it's not going to be exactly like that. She doesn't actually, you know, push anything into her tits. I was just dumb and young. And I watched it, and it was exactly how I remembered it. And I was like, what in the fuck? Great movie. Loved it. Loved that movie. But that's how we got there, is because I had seen a piece of it on cable TV at someone else's house at like 3 in the morning. And
figure out what movie it was.
Fucking 25 years later, I was like, I have to watch this. So we did some digging and we found it and we watched it like that night. And I was so excited about it. I was like, yes. And it was great. I was like, this movie is actually great.
Pretty good.
And I feel like I was actually really impressed with the sequel.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be. I
guess a lot of people find it superior.
Interesting.
To the first, but
interesting. I wouldn't say it's superior, but I do think it's a good match. I'm like this. I think the first one was just really unlike a movie I'd seen before. And I'm going to say this, like, Night of the Demons is an 80s movie where the two survivors are a black man and a
Yeah,
woman.
that is
Like,
the most
that's-
disappointing part about 2.
Right, yeah. Is there's very little diversity. There's a lot of background characters that don't even speak
Yep.
that are black. But not lots. But that's who you see that are
Correct.
black is just, and I think that's it. You just see a few black people.
Yeah.
Those are the only
There's
people.
that one guy dressed as a cholo, but I can't tell.
Yeah, right. I can't
that's a
tell.
costume
right,
or,
exactly. I mean, I'm assuming it's a costume, but also it's like, right, you're like, is this, just what he had on hand, or
Yeah.
is this, So yeah, it's a little bit. That. I think that's the biggest drawback of the
Yeah.
sequel is that you're like, oh, you just didn't do that at all.
Yeah.
But I was kind of expecting, I knew it was going to be interesting because I saw the GIF and I was like, okay, I know the effects aren't going to be, like, I was a little worried that it was going to be, like, I knew it was going to be good in the sense of, like, the special effects were not, just from the GIF I saw, I'm like, there's no way that that's going to look like that and the rest of the movie would not look comparable,
Well.
like, in some way. Like,
Yeah.
that might be the best effect they have, but, like, that says a lot more than some other movies, So I was like, I feel like I'm interested to see how that goes. And so I was a little bit worried that it was just going to be more of like a play-by-play of the first one. Like, it was just going to be like, oh, let's just go to this house and have a party, and then things happen.
It did start to shape up that way.
A little bit, but what was interesting and what set it apart is that they trick. So like the Night of the Demons is they have this like Halloween party at this abandoned house, and I think it's Angela. I think she does like the weird shit because she's all goth, and then she opens a demon dimension or some shit. Or I don't know. She just does something. It's been a minute since I've seen it.
Yeah.
But Angela's kind of a great character in the first
Also,
one.
to its credit, this one did make me want to rewatch the first one.
Yeah. Angela's kind of a great character in the first one. Like, she has this whole dance sequence to a Bauhaus. It's like, that's another thing. I was like, what the fuck horror movie? I've never seen some do
No.
like she's got like a black wedding dress on
Right.
and like all this shit. I was like, hell yeah. And that was another thing that I saw, like the poster was like, Angela's having another party. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, hell yeah. But, so I was just like, well, I don't know why I said I was just like, so it starts with like a Catholic school,
Yeah.
and
I thought they were supposed to be in college at first. Because they're college-aged people
right, yeah.
playing these characters.
So like, it's like a regular run of the mill. There's, popular girls and nerdy girls, and one of the nerdy girls is called Mouse, and you find out that she's Angela's sister. And she's,
No mention of the finals survivors of the first
same.
movie.
Yeah, same. Why do I keep doing that? Why do I keep, whenever I'm like, oh, I noticed that too, I'll just be like, same. And I hate it. Like, God. I've
No
been
cap.
doing, so, yeah, so, they end up tricking Mouse to go to
Ye-
the whole house where they had the fucking,
Yeah, I don't. Also, was it called that in the first movie?
I don't remember.
But not for nothing. We got to introduce Perry, who's into the occult and demonology.
Well, I was, yeah.
Because Sylvia?
Shirley.
Charlene.
Cheryl?
Fucking
Sherilyn.
A.
There we go, Sherilyn.
Anyway, the bad girl steals his
Book of demonology.
Necronomicon.
Yeah, basically.
Hey, butthead, what are you looking for, a fat lip? I want my book. What book? Come on, you know a book. That's a rare text. It cost me a month's allowance.
What's the problem here?
Oh, the old sexorcist here thinks I stole his precious little ghoulie book.
Yeah, so?
So what would I want with a book?
Good point. Harry, Kurt doesn't have your book. He can barely read a clock.
Thank you.
Shirley. In her weird accent.
Yeah.
From... Where's she from? You looked it up because...
She's just from the U.S. Everybody was just from the U.S.
Okay.
I was like, okay.
The director is apparently Australian.
Okay.
She steals his book and then suddenly is inviting everybody, making sure. She's
Yeah.
like, make sure to invite this guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on?
Well, she's like, invite Mouse. She's like, invite Mouse. Make sure you're inviting Mouse.
Yeah.
And
Well, but she did the same thing with the guys. Like, make sure, get Perry to come or whatever.
No, she doesn't get Perry to come.
I'm not saying she was successful. I'm saying she was telling the guys to get the other guys to come.
I don't remember that at all. Not Perry. Perry was the guy with the book.
I know.
What?
So maybe I'm wrong about it being Perry.
Okay.
But I swear she's...
Well, yeah, she says that they should, like, she's saying, I mean, she's having everybody that didn't get to go to the, like, all their friends got kicked out of the dance.
Mm.
So that's why she's like, you should all come. She was like, and bring Mouse. So it turns out, like, they just wanted to prank. They don't tell anybody that they're going to Hull House.
Right.
And they go, and...
What's confusing is why does... if, what's his name, Rick?
Yeah.
He's in on it.
Yeah.
Why does Z-Boy have to change the signs fucking Roadrunner style?
So they don't show. So I thought the same thing. I was like, that's so stupid. But there's two things that.
Or is that so? So, go on.
So, the
Fucking
map,
Z-Boy.
the map that they have,
Yeah.
that they show, it doesn't have any roads on it.
Oh.
Like it doesn't. I mean, it has road, but it doesn't have anything
Names.
named. So it doesn't have like turn at this road or turn.
Right.
It just has you
No
follow
directions.
a path.
Yeah.
Like this is the path you go, and here's where it's at. And so I'm assuming that he changed where they were going. That way, no one would know that they were actually, like, if someone looked, they'd be like, obviously you're turning here, which is an arrow pointing to Hull House. And there's the other way. So since he knew where he was going, Z-Boy changed the directions.
That's probably why the sheriff never showed up.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I didn't think about that. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So they get there and like shit starts happening. BB finds fucking.
Well, first of all, they
lipstick.
freak out. Well, Mouse freaks out when they arrive because she's like, "What
Oh
the fuck?
yeah,
I
she's
can't
like,
be
I'm
here."
not going in here.
She stays in the car,
Yeah.
which poor her.
Yeah. She gets the brunt of most of everything.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to mention that part because it comes up later. That
Well, I mean, I don't mean offensively, but I'm not going to give an actual blow by blow of every single thing that happened.
Okay.
I was just going to say they get to the house and then shit starts happening. Like they're playing pranks, they're doing stupid shit. But BB finds the old lipstick that got put in a nipple. But the house itself looks so much like it either is the same set or they did so much work to make it look the same because it's so good. Like I remember like a lot of it just looked really similar to me.
There's
like,
so many shots of gargoyles when they first get there.
Yeah. But they freak out and they leave. And this is the thing that I think makes it not like the first one. Because I forgot about this. But they have the well around.
Yeah, and they bring
it.
that up. That's
right.
funny.
Well, they have the well around it, and they're like, this keeps
The underground river.
Yeah, they're like it circles the house and keeps all the demons inside, and so they pass it, and once they pass it, BB takes the lipstick out, and it means that like it was able to. So,
Right.
and that's what causes all the shit to basically go down because they transported the demons out.
Right.
So they're free now. So they can do all kinds of mayhem and shit.
Why is it happening here?
Oh God, the lipstick.
What lipstick?
The lipstick that I brought from Whole House.
You mean you brought something out of Whole House?
Be
What's
quiet, Perry.
But sister, don't you understand? That lipstick must be the conveyance that brought the demons out. Across the underground streams.
We'll deal with that later.
So I'm like, oh, cool. Like that's like a pretty good. I feel like that sets it up so that you can have sequels and you can do way more.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't have to.
It doesn't
just,
have to be confined.
You
to
don't
the
have
house,
to
yeah.
keep.
You don't
going
have to get
back.
people to
Yeah.
the demons.
Yeah, right. But
Get me to the demon.
so when they get home, you know, back to school, like Perry knows something's wrong because he finds directions to Whole House, and that's how he knows it's Whole House because he's like, look at like where this is going. It's going to Whole House. But
I love when he shows the map. There's an obvious. You can tell that the what do you call it? The pentagram has been taped on.
Yeah. It's a pentacle.
It's
He's
like
like,
those.
"Look at this."
It's like those textbooks they found in Gaza.
Oh my god. So ridiculous. Yeah, I really can't believe that they were like trying to pass off what it like why would you like all you have to do is not fold it into a tiny little square to even make that plausible, and they couldn't even be
Couldn't even be bothered.
fucked to do that. They were like, nah, it's okay. We'll just fold up a piece of paper as tiny as possible, and then we'll set it in a book and be like, here's what they're teaching kids.
Those
What?
assault rifles in MRI machines and
My God. Yeah, it was incubators.
Oh,
it
that's
was ammunition in incubators.
no, but there was one about like
And it was
rifles by like a CAT scan machine or something
Well,
that clearly would
No,
not.
but that
interrupt
they
the
were like,
functioning.
if an incubator was on, those would explode. So they're like,
Right.
you can't hide them. Like they're hiding ammunition under babies, and they're like, they're literally not, because if you did that, everyone would die. Like you can't hide. Oh my God, I fucking hate. Oh God. So, yeah. So the party. What I like is that there's some sapphic happenings going on throughout.
I'm a little on the fence because about the sexual predatory nature of Angela. Somewhat pro, but also
Yeah, I hear you.
I-
I hear you. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Just
No, I hear you.
putting that out there.
I do like when the guy is making out with Marsha Brady and Angela's hand comes up and is grabbing his crotch, and he's like, whoa. He's like, slow down or whatever. And she's like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? And then they both look down at his crotch, and she's just flipping him off. It was so fucking funny. I was like, it's so
Oh God, what movie was it that had? Is that Trick or Treat where the ghost is having sex with the girl in the back seat?
Yes. Yeah. And melts her ears with the music. Yeah.
Yeah, she got the headphones on.
Yeah, she's listening to the
The
music. and,
orange
like,
foam headphones.
and it melts her fucking ears, and she's all. Yeah.
Gosh, we've watched a lot of movies.
We have.
Oh no, my brain may be rotten by the end of this.
By the end of what?
This
Aw.
not unrotten brain.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of like stuff, like the holy water and the balloons, like all this shit. The nun, sister Bitcheroni, she's like
They call her Sister Gory. Her name's Gloria.
Oh, that's right. She's so like I think they did really great with her character because they start her out,
Absolutely.
you fucking hate her because she's just
Yep.
sitting there being a bitch to everyone.
Yeah.
But then at the end, she's the one that like saves the day for everyone. But like it's believable and it's so fucking funny. When Perry gets hit in the face with the bat, I was like, holy shit. That whole like so much stuff actually surprised me in this movie.
Yes.
I was like, I'm surprised.
Yes.
I said surprised.
Paint me surprised.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
a big. That's gonna be a big for me.
Oh, okay. So yesterday, This is the interesting thing. I was watching Buffy yesterday, and it was one of the Halloween episodes. I think it's season 6's Halloween episode, and it starts with this is what brought to mind that old when I was like, oh, did that happen in the first night of the demon? It starts with, or like at the beginning, it has this old dude with a bag of groceries walking down the street. And go,
shit.
Yeah. And I was like, this has to be. And I like looked at the trivia and it didn't say anything, but I was like, it has to be a fucking reference
Quote. Yeah.
to Night of the Demons because they
So glad you
said
brought that up because I completely forgot.
I know.
About that,
And I was
even though
like, I was trying this whole time. I was like, what was that from? What fucking movie was that from? I could not
It was
remember.
right
I couldn't
in front of
remember.
your
Exactly. And I was
balls the
like,
whole
what was
time.
it? What was it from? I can't remember. It was bookends. I was like, it had
Yeah.
nothing to do with the rest of the movie. And I was like, was it later than I think it is, or was it like something that we
right.
watched for the pod? Was it not? So like I was trying, and then today I was like, oh shit, I think it was actually Night of the Demons. But in that episode of Buffy, like they make you think that the old guy is ultimately the bad guy, you know. But then it turns out where he's just an old guy that's just celebrating Halloween, which is
because what is it? He's actually putting razors in apples or something,
like,
and then
he's like. He's like doing like fucked up shit, and it like ends with
the wife being like, I made an apple pie with some of the apples that were left over,
shit,
and so he eats.
I don't remember. We gotta rewatch that.
I think that's it. I mean,
I know, but I don't remember.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
remember. We gotta rewatch it. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
this is goofy, wild shenanigans.
Goofy. It's called Fei Fei.
Yeah, so I think it does a great job
Mm-hmm.
of capturing the spirit and, you know, in some cases reusing literal footage.
Yeah.
But not in a, I mean, sure, it's cost saving, but
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was.
I wouldn't have noticed if you hadn't told me,
I
honestly.
felt like when they did that, I honestly was like, this has to be like an intentional thing, but not in the sense of like we didn't have time or we didn't have the
Right.
budget to reshoot, but like we want to.
Yeah,
You didn't even know.
right.
I was
That's
like,
what I
that's
just
from
said.
the first one, and you were like, oh right, yeah, I forgot that they did that, and I'm like, no, it was literally
Literally the same footage, yeah.
And you were like, oh, what the fuck? And it was really hard to tell. The only way I caught it was because Angela's hair was a little bit styled a little bit different, but that
Her hair in this movie
is what, yeah. But that I was like, that's really the
Going
why
so hard.
why it impressed me more than was like silly or like felt like they just used something. I was like, oh, you couldn't tell, like you
Yeah,
kind of
right.
you couldn't really tell unless if I hadn't been like, oh, is this what they're talking about? I probably
'cause
wouldn't
you'd
have
already
caught
seen
it.
the trivia about it.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have caught it. And I'm like, that's really impressive that they, and I felt like the way that they made Angela look was like, that's what, like her makeup looked the same. Like they didn't change the
nice.
makeup
Yeah.
in like enough to make you think that it was a completely different character. They didn't change the outfit. Like all this stuff was like so close, either the same as the first one or close enough to the first one that you wouldn't really clock it if you weren't like paying a lot of attention to it. And I'm like, that's really, because so much of the time when you watch a sequel, like
Yeah.
it changes, like they'll change, like even with Chucky, I think, they made his face move differently,
Right.
like a lot of stuff. No complaints, like I'm
No,
not,
right.
but like they'll change something. They'll be like, okay, we're gonna make it more, we're gonna make them, we're gonna make the makeup scarier. We're gonna give it more definition, or we're gonna change
Right.
the
There's
look
always
a
this
little bit.
temptation
Yeah.
to make it edgier or
Right, and especially
or
with it being
just
like
more.
so many years later.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just like 2 years later. It was like 6, 7,
at
10
least.
years later, something
What's
like
the
that.
first one from?
I don't remember. I think the first one was from
I think
like
one thing
80.
that helps is it's the same writer for both.
Nice.
Different directors.
Yeah.
But the director of the first said that he thought the second one was better, but he credited the writer
Yeah.
for it. And he said, and I still think that there was more, I wish there had been, the ratio of scares to laughs had been more scares. Was I going to look up the original
when it came out.
Night of the
Demons.
88?
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I thought it was 88. So it was like 6 years
Yeah.
earlier it came out, and it, and a lot happened in 6 years. In
Right, and it's
regards
definitely
to,
we're in a different decade, like
Yeah.
by 94, I
Yeah.
remember,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was, and by 88, that's late 80s, so you're not feeling
yeah,
we're past the long 70s of the early 80s.
Yeah.
Everything's still
Yeah.
earth-toned, and
Right.
a low-budget movie is on
Yeah.
film and
right.
looks like we talked about this when we were talking about, I guess, Black Hole.
Yeah.
Because, among other things. Anyway, whatever. Things from the early 80s
Yes.
can look wildly different
Yeah,
from
right.
each other. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I know. Like that's something where it's like fucking like
Even late 70s, for that matter.
yeah, like late 70s, early 80s, they can merge.
Yeah.
Like fucking I mean, they're two different types of movies. But Blame It on Rio and Nightmare on Elm Street both came out in 84.
84, okay.
And Blame It on Rio looks like it's from 1978.
Yeah, part of that, though, is, I would say, because it's a remake of a 70s movie. You know what I mean?
That's fine,
And so I
but
think
it's still...
they did some of that on purpose, is my point.
But my point is that you wouldn't
Yeah.
think that
No,
watching
yeah,
it.
no.
You'd be like, oh, 19... and like... it always surprises me when I remember that Nightmare on Elm Street came out in 84. I'm like, what? And like Alien is 1979.
Right.
Crazy.
Right.
Shit is crazy. And it's just like, it
2001 is 66 or whatever.
yeah. And it does not star Ed Harris. Everyone.
R.I.P. Ed Harris's role in
Oh my god.
as Dave. And there's a Smells Like Teen Spirit reference in this
Yep.
movie.
Yep.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Smell it. Gross.
Smells like a little teen spirit. Teen spirit? My ass smells like Godzilla's butthole.
But by 94, by late 1994, I had graduated high school. So
Damn.
that just goes to tell you, show
Damn.
you, and tell you.
So you graduated early.
How so?
Never mind.
I was 18.
No, I know. I was doing the math wrong. I was like, you're 10 years older than me. So, I don't know.
You still haven't graduated high school, so I don't know what math you're doing.
Oh,
Get in there.
my crack.
I forgot I was going to say. But there, I that's to its credit, it brought this
Yeah.
movie into the 90s.
Right.
In a
Yeah.
very, I won't say respectful, but like, it clearly is trying to stay true to the
Yeah.
original.
And I did feel like I was watching a movie from the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? It didn't feel like it was trying to do too much of a callback. It didn't feel
No.
like it was trying to yeah, it was just like there was a lot of it had a lot of fun with itself.
Oh, absolutely.
And it also took itself seriously enough to not be
just goofy and campy.
right, to not just be a comedy. Yeah.
Or one of those. You know, you can always tell when someone's trying to parody a genre
Yeah.
without being a fan of the genre.
Oh,
or
yeah.
being intimately
Yes.
familiar with it, you know. Like,
Right. Like
it doesn't do
J.J.
that. It
Abrams
doesn't
did
do
with
that.
Star Trek.
Exactly right. As Ruth said at the time when that movie was out, like, this is like a movie. This is like a Star Trek movie by someone who has only heard other people talk about Star Trek.
Yeah, correct. Because that's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
like,
right.
J.J. Abrams was like, I'm not a fan of Star Trek. And I honestly.
I mean, sometimes that works, you know, like sometimes it's like for instance, I mean, this is just the first example that comes to mind. Otherwise,
yeah.
whatever. I'm not saying that's laziness on my part, basically, is that Starship Troopers,
Yeah.
he didn't read the book,
Nice.
but you know, so it's not true to the book, but he was going to make it true to the book anyway,
Right.
because
Right.
the book is fascist, and the point is to make a
Right.
commentary on fascism. So, you know,
Well, like also, I think it's like
him is Verhoeven, by the way.
Okay. I think when there are times when, I don't know, I'm one of those people that I'm like, I hate when people are like, the book was better. Like, oh, really? The thing that can have more detail and
I know, yeah.
that always annoys me. There are times when like you read the book version of something and you're like, oh, this explains things a lot better than the movie did,
Well-
or like the movie cut out scenes that were
Yeah.
pivotal or things like that. So there are times when obviously the movies that, you know, made out of books are not, you know, done very well, and you're like, oh, you really, you know, you just like, I feel like I talk about this a lot, but I feel like movies that try to stay true to the
Right.
end of a Stephen King book, they're always really, you're
Yeah.
like, oh god, this is bad. But when they're like, fuck it, we're just going to do whatever we want, a
I mean,
lot
like,
of times
he's like the most notorious and infamous
Stephen
example.
King has the worst
But that's
ending.
also the.
But
I'm just thinking about how that's a very no longer. It's now a dated thing, but that was a very dominant, like,
what
60s
was?
to the 70s into the 80s. The original text being a novel,
Yeah. Yeah.
interpreted into a film.
Yeah.
That was so much of the discourse
But
around film.
Well, what I was gonna say is like I think it should be different. Like, you know what I mean? You're making it can't
an
be the
interpretation.
same.
It's not-
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's an interpretation, but it's also like it's a different medium.
That's what
Completely.
I mean. It's a transliteration.
You are not going to be able, and I think it would be really boring if you tried to literally make it.
Yes, and people do that, and it always is boring.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, you didn't do anything. It's like when people do
That's
remakes
a
of
lesson
songs.
I learned in 9th grade in my photo class when we had an assignment to do a slideshow to
Yeah.
a song,
Yeah.
and I did literal interpretations of the lyrics, and it was very boring. Even though the song I chose was "The Boys of Summer" by Don Henley, which is so rich in imagery. I think I tried to do one too. I don't remember if I actually did this, but I either started or something went wrong technically, but I was going to do one on "We Will Rock You" by Queen.
Oh.
Buddy, you're a young man, hard man. Anyway. Buddy, you're a young man, hard man. Kicking your can in the street, gotta be big man someday. Blood, mud on your face, a big disgrace. Somebody better put you back into your place.
Who would play her?
You go. Opera Man, the Adam Sandler character from SNL.
Oh God, never seen it. Never seen it. I was lucky enough that the Adam Sandler SNL was before my time.
Yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky.
I was a teenager in the time of in the final stages of the Will Ferrell, Anna Gasteyer, Molly Shannon, and I.
Was Sherry O'Terry still?
Yeah. But I never was able to watch it because I was not allowed to watch SNL.
Yeah. Well, again, lucky.
So I watched Mad TV instead, which was so much better.
Probably. I was such a snob.
What I mean is, it's not any
you were being
less
sarcastic.
adult. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not, like, I don't know why that was fine. I loved Mad TV.
I feel like they were a lot more crass in a lot of ways because they were able to get
so much
away with
more
it
crass.
somehow.
They were so much more crass.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Like, they honestly, I think I'm not saying that everything that they did holds up, but a lot of the stuff that they did, I can watch it now and still laugh at it, as opposed to you watch stuff from SNL, and the only time anything ever makes me laugh on SNL is when they crack. But that makes me laugh on anything. You can show me a clip of something I've never seen before.
Well, and that's all it is now.
And they're cracking.
That seems to be,
right.
especially the era of like Bill Hader and Fred Armisen and Kristen Wiig. It's just them making each other
If
crack.
Bill Hader
is
and-
the only clips I see.
If Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig are in a scene together, one
gonna
or both
crack.
of them is a kraken.
Release the.
Would you recommend?
I would.
Yeah.
I think it stands alone plenty well.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would. I wonder what it would be to watch them back to back.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be. Yeah.
It'd be a fun double feature.
I do feel like I remember the first one being a little bored sometimes, being like a little bit like, okay, this has gone on a little too long.
Yeah.
This could
Right.
end.
Yes.
But I don't think I was like, I don't care about what's happening. It's just like, sometimes it was like, it would go on, it would have like too many breaks between, or like too long of a break between a scary thing, or
Right.
they would,
People, they end up on the roof, right? At the end, at some point. I mean,
don't
not for long,
remember.
but
yeah,
like, towards the end.
something like that.
Part of
I've
them
been
getting
trying
away.
to imagine, or trying to remember, trying to imagine. I've been trying to remember how it goes.
Yeah, one thing I missed, even though it's, the opening credits ends on the furnace or whatever. That's one thing I missed is the whole part of the premise of the first one is that, like, only on this night can the demons come out.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's completely done away with. I guess they're just free to roam the
Right.
house because they're
Yeah.
inhabiting Angela
Yeah, something like that. I don't
or
remember.
whatever's happening
Yeah.
there. That's
Well,
not really
it-
explained.
Yeah. Well, it is Halloween.
Yeah, but that doesn't really, they don't.
But, well, it does. They do. When the daylight hits her, she croaks.
Yeah.
So, but that happened before. Like, they had to make it through till the night. And when the sun rose, they were like, oh, we're safe.
Yeah. Is there an animation too at the end?
I don't remember. Are you thinking of Mac and Me? We'll be back.
So I missed that a little bit. I think it works in this movie. The exorcism stuff, the Catholicism that's
Yeah,
brought
yeah,
in
yeah,
as
yeah.
it works. That's never my favorite device
Right.
in this. But I would also say, like, now's the time, like with the with all the Conjuring universe
Yeah.
shit. If
Yeah.
you're into that, you probably get a kick out of this for the same
Yeah.
similar reasons.
Right.
I understand if it's not the same tone at all.
No.
But the stuff with the nun is great. She's the best
So,
arc.
so
I feel like the
great.
father, by the father, I mean the priest is the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah.
The guy's acting is just not good.
It's
and
weird.
The character isn't great. Like,
Well, I
he's
think
skeptical beyond reason.
Well, I do think it's kind of funny
If
that
it was
like
played up a little more,
yeah,
like,
I do think it's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. No, sorry. I do think how he's like so like he wants the nun, like the sister, to be so chill. He's like,
Yeah.
can we be so chill? Like, we need to chill out.
He's
And
reading
she's like,
Catcher in the
what
Rye.
fuck? Yeah, he's like, we need to. And I kind of enjoyed it for that. I was like, I enjoy how he's like not taking anything seriously, no matter how serious anyone else takes it. And I do feel, but the only reason I find that funny is because I feel like that's never the role of
Right.
the priest. And I feel like I've not really seen that happen.
Yeah, that would be. It could have been done.
Oh, for
It's
sure,
an
for
interesting
sure.
concept.
I'm just saying I didn't dislike it as much as you did.
Oh,
I
okay.
do feel like they could have done a better job of it. And I feel like I don't feel like so much, honestly, for me, it wasn't the actor's choices so much as how they styled his hair and facial hair. Because I was like, this is 100%. I was like, is he playing the devil? Because I feel like this is exactly
He's got
how,
that goatee.
He's got that weird little, like, it was so weird. I was like, it feels like he's supposed to be, the bad guy.
A secret.
Yeah.
Right.
And
like nobody's supposed to notice that
Right.
he's got the
Yeah.
alter ego goatee.
Yeah. And yeah, he has
The
fucking
mirror universe.
Yeah, he looks like mirror universe priest,
Right.
So that was the thing that I
They did
I
the
felt.
literal same. I remember they did the same thing on Knight Rider.
Oh shit.
There's a bad Michael Knight who he literally has a goatee.
Amazing.
Instead of a Trans Am, he drives a semi truck. And I think it's called like Goliath or something.
Doo doo doo.
Best bass line ever written.
Doo doo.
But yeah. Anyway, it did leave room for the nun to shine. Like if he
For
had
sure,
been
for sure.
if it had come across more comical, like
Oh yeah, I don't think I would have
her
enjoyed
stuff
it.
would have been
Yeah.
not as hit as well.
I think, well, that's what I'm saying. I feel like the way that they styled his character was more of a distraction from his actual performance.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the ways that he played things, I was like, he's doing a great job, but it doesn't look right because of
I see what
how
you're saying.
they're,
Yeah, that makes sense.
like a lot of the stuff. I'd be like,
if he had been a little shaggy or something.
well, yeah, just anything. If he'd been clean shaven, I think, even if he'd just been clean shaven and or if they showed him like sneaking some booze every now and then or something,
Right.
you'd be like, oh, I get it.
Right.
He doesn't, but no, but yeah. I think it
As
would've
we've learned
taken-
in our movie watching involving priests and the church, there are plenty of priests who don't really give a shit. It's just kind of a cushy gig to have.
Yeah.
If it'd been the guy from Priest,
Yeah. Yes.
the older
Tom
senior,
Wilkinson, yeah.
Tom Wilkinson, or what's his name from The Exorcist?
Yeah.
Who's questioning.
Right. Right.
Like that's a guy. That guy.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Anyway, not to spend too much. I was distracted by him.
Yeah.
And I think you're
And,
right. I think
yeah.
you're exactly right.
But that's the thing that like if they just shaved his beard, it would have been like.
And that's
such
what
a
I
great-
meant when I said he's giving. I was a child actor who was a teen heartthrob in the 70s.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I knew exactly what you were talking about. I'm like, no, I agree. And you were like, I mean the actor, not the priest. And I was like,
I just
no,
wanted to
know.
make sure.
No, but I was like, no, I understood exactly what you meant. I'm not stupid, you asshole.
I didn't think you were stupid.
I just think you
You're
are
just
stupid.
ignorant. Always the best cover.
I'm a proud, ignorant woman.
Yeah, and then I also missed you need people of color.
Yeah.
Especially
Yes,
being a
yes.
final, and there's 4 people survive or something. It's like the nun, Melissa,
Yeah.
Benjamin,
BB
and Johnny. Johnny makes it out, right? He's the one that's making out with Benjamin.
Yes. I'm pretty sure, yeah. I liked I don't remember. I feel like I said this, but I don't remember if I said this. I also recommend for like the same. I think watching them, I think it's a fun 90s horror movie even if you don't have any interest in
Yeah,
watching.
it's
the
really
first
crafty
one.
in a lot of ways. And practical effects out the fucking.
I really
The
feel like
boobs thing is amazing.
Amazing,
on
yeah.
its own. But then, like her final form or whatever.
I was gonna say that impressed me. I was like,
for real.
oh, I didn't see it coming because
And
I
you fully expected. I fully expected it to be like. Oh, I'm like, oh, it's not actually CG.
right. Well, it's not, and it's like it was.
And up until the final scene, I don't think there is any CG.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily think so. I also like how they.
It's really, and the way it's edited is really
I
feels crafty to me.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not unique. I'm not knowledgeable about editing, and so I
Yeah.
feel like I overemphasize it to the ratio
Yeah.
I'm actually knowledgeable. So
right.
sorry
Yeah.
to all our listeners who actually been to film school.
I was gonna say something.
The effects we were talking about.
Yeah, you said.
Apparently, the toilet demon is in the first one. I didn't remember that,
Oh, he is.
and it's the same guy. Plays the same guy.
I thought that was the dude from the beginning. When the missionaries go to and knock on the door, and she's like,
Could have been.
"It's my special day. You want some cake?" Oh man, I was gonna say something.
I don't see a toilet Bob.
Toilet Bob. Toilet Bob. Oh man, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. I was talking about.
When she explodes, it's amazing. I had
Yeah.
to go. I
Yeah,
had to
you had to
rewatch
go-
because that's
you
a
had to go
glorious
back.
explosion.
You said you didn't feel like it was CG. Oh, yeah. I don't know why, but it was very funny to me when they were filling the balloons up with holy water, how they had just drawn the crosses
Yeah.
on them
Yeah.
so crappily.
Yeah.
Like they were, and I was like, I love this
Yeah.
because I love little details like that
Yeah.
where they're trying to make it look more realistic than they are cool. You know, like it's very clearly just like if you were like a kid or like a teenager
Yeah.
and they're like, draw this cross on, you're not going to be like, I must get it even. I mean,
Oh,
unless
yeah.
you're like me and you got the tism, but like, and
Right.
it just looks like someone drew it in a hurry as opposed to, and I was like, this is so funny.
Man, that
to
is
me.
such a tone shift.
yeah,
it's so great
it was
when
so
they go to
funny.
the montage.
Oh
the-
my God. The nun and the
ready
fucking
up montage of her
fucking
and
they
the
had it's like one of those giant coffee dispensers and it's just this holy water. Fuck. Shit like that was like very funny to
and
me.
her rosary.
Oh
thing.
my God. All this shit where she's putting it's like whoosh, whoosh. She's
Yeah.
just putting her habit on.
Oh yeah, right. How about how she regrows a head?
What the fuck? I think it was implying that she like I don't know, but I was like, what?
Amazing.
It was.
There were so many beheadings in this.
I love that. The guy.
I'm not complaining.
The
The basketball thing. How about the when they're on the tennis court and the basketball between the legs?
Oh, and she's like, whoop, and it's oh my God. It's always really funny.
I love it. Anytime something is done in reverse like that.
I think it's so funny when stuff is done in reverse because it never looks natural. And like I'm like, why do you think it's not gonna be like the only like okay, so like the fucking EpiPen to the chest from Pulp Fiction. That was filmed backwards.
Oh, really?
So that it would look like he was really punching her in the chest.
Okay.
I get that. That's great. And it doesn't look,
I didn't know that.
yeah. So, she doesn't have to.
Get actually punched in the
Right.
sternum.
She doesn't have to actually get punched for it to look like
Yeah,
force.
James Cameron.
Right. And so, sometimes like it's, but if it's an action thing and the intent is not, we want to make this look creepy or unnatural, I'm always like, why did you do that? Like, did that girl really not be able to catch a football?
Well,
a basketball?
I bet that was to save on like trying to do multiple reshoots.
I don't
You know what I
know.
mean? Like, because that would take a lot of tries, I bet.
Yeah, but she could practice, not on camera. I don't know.
And
I'm
what
just
army?
saying. And what army?
Z-Boy? Oof.
I would like to Z that boy out the fucking fire escape.
Hey! Z said Z you later, boy.
Z boy, that's my name. Z boy, Keith already fucks him.
Get it?